always been a spiritual person. I've always felt like I was on this certain path, and I've always felt connected, and I've always felt a sense of calm, and that is what always drew me to like meditation music and really being introverted when I was a little kid, when I was just like becoming a teenager and stuff. Spiritual awakening, spiritual growth, spiritual awakening. What it means to me to have like these concepts is it always changes, you know, it always changes as I'm growing, as I'm getting older, as I'm going through life and I'm experiencing new things. And for some time I kind of like fell off this path of spirituality until back in 2017 I kind of hit a breaking point, and I resorted to some kind of healing, any kind of healing that I could just grab a hold of, in the form of Dakota of Earth videos. And he really helped me with like my struggles. As I'm growing up and I'm getting older and I'm kind of like coming into myself more, now that I actually have the ability to come into myself more, I'm just starting to see that spiritual work, spiritual awakening, it takes work. You have to work for spiritual growth, spiritual awakenings, just like you do with anything else in life. I have never really like been somebody that gets on board with like putting a terminology on these things. Like I hear people in spiritual communities, and spiritual like pages and stuff talking about like ascension levels, and I just never really got on board. I'm gonna be changing the filter a lot. Or maybe this is the last time, I don't know. But to me, it just like the spiritual awakening that I had initially began when I was about 11 years old, and I felt a very deep connection to serpents. And I've spoken about this openly on other platforms that I have, but I've always been hesitant to say that out loud on a YouTube channel, because people that haven't really had any like deep spiritual awakening don't really understand it. And it's kind of like talking about psychedelics with someone who is anti-drug and puts psychedelics, plant medicines, into that category. It started with a serpent, hence why I got this tattoo of a serpent and a rose, because it started with a serpent, and when I started listening to meditation music religiously, I started having visions and dreams of what I can confidently say now were past lives. And this is something that I've grown up with, so I realized very quickly that my psychic abilities, my empathic abilities, the visions that I'm having, all of these things are not going to be like widely accepted by anybody, and I had to learn very quickly to be okay with that. But I remember when I was at a religious temple and I saw a snake in the tree, and I didn't really feel any fear about it. And then as I'm going through life, I'm realizing that it's such a Scorpio thing, because Scorpios are connected to snakes, and they're connected to phoenixes and eagles sometimes. Going through my life and thinking about everything that I've seen, that I've done, I'm seeing more clearly that there's always been synchronicities and signs from the universe. And signs vary, you know, it varies from numerology to like symbols that I paid attention to, that were supposed to lead me to where I need to be. I preach heavily that every body on this planet has a soul, and there are hierarchies of consciousness that science has already validated. So it's not something that, you know, it's only in the spiritual realm of things. Nature has soul. Animals have souls. Human animals have souls. And that's how it led me to veganism. I remember when I was 16 years old, I actually questioned my mom about this. And it's very interesting, because my mom at 16 years old decided to go vegetarian. And it was like a deja vu moment for her, that I too wanted to go vegetarian at age 16. But she simply did not have the knowledge of what to feed me adequately. So, 16-year-old girl that I was, and not particularly very interested in sitting still, because I was either always sleeping or I was hyperactive as hell. I was still distracted. So fast forward, I think I turned 25, and one day I just woke up. I didn't do any research on anything, you know? I wasn't reading anything. I wasn't looking at any slaughterhouse footage. I wasn't thinking about the mistreatment of animals. I just kind of like heard a voice, my inner voice, or some higher voice. I don't know. And it was telling me that it's time to delve into like the vegetarian lifestyle and see where you go from there. And so the journey began. I cut meat out straight away. I cut meat out straight away. And granted, there were times when I fell off that path. I was vegetarian for 8 months, and then I think 1 month I gave up, and then there was a time when my family and I went out to a Persian restaurant, and I got the chicken flesh, and I took one bite and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't eat it anymore. That was the end. I trusted it. I trusted myself. I trusted whatever this was. And during 2017, when I was having a mental breakdown, and I was watching Dakota's videos, and he was really helping me get back up, I started researching more about the vegan movement and what they're fighting for, what the crazy vegans are fighting for. Because I had a friend who was vegan, and she never told anybody that she was vegan because of the backlash that us non-vegans tend to give the crazy vegans. I started thinking about it, and I saw the slaughterhouse footage, and that was it for me. Insert a clip by one of my favorite activists, Joey Carbstrong. And that's just going to summarize exactly how I feel about it.
Are any of my points invalid because I was quote unquote aggressive? I wasn't aggressive enough, okay? If you've seen it, like, what is aggressive? Is this lady buying a gun to shoot baby deer? What's aggressive is gas chambering innocent pigs. What's aggressive is raping cows in the dairy industry and stealing their young and murdering them if they're a boy. That's aggressive. You ever seen chicks get macerated in the egg industry? That's aggressive, okay? How I defend animals is how I defend animals. If you want to be an apologist, apologetics in the corner, that's you. That's just not me. You know, if you've got an opinion on how I should advocate, why don't you just advocate that way yourself? And, you know, I'll stay in my lane, you stay in yours. I'm defending animals. So you can either attack my conduct, you can attack how I acted, aggressive, I interrupted, how rude, whatever. They're just ad hominem attacks. You're just attacking my conduct. If you can't attack the message because the message is solid, what are you going to do? You're going to try to shoot down the messenger. I'm too used to this now. I'm too used to this. I don't care what you think about my conduct. What do you think about what I am saying? Listen to the points I am making, okay? If you're not vegan, you support animal abuse, okay? It's time to stop being a hypocrite and be vegan. That is the point. If you have blood on your hands when you purchase steak that was torn off the body of an animal who didn't want to die, okay? It's time to be consistent. Stop paying for animals to be murdered that you claim to care about. That was the catalyst for me to change, and that should be the catalyst for you to change too.
Okay. So, I think that the link between veganism and spirituality is so overlooked. Whether you're spiritual or not, whether you're a psychic empath or not, whether you are a science guy or a spiritual guy or a plant guy or, I don't know, an anti-psychedelic guy, whatever the case may be, the information is out there. And I don't think that it's useful to run from this information. It's kind of like ramble off and trail off, I think, but I was also talking about the hierarchy of consciousness and how veganism and spirituality correlate with this. So there are hierarchies that science has already confirmed of intelligence and sentience. So the lowest form of intelligence and sentience is obviously plants. Plants have intelligence, but they do not have sentience. Animals have both intelligence and sentience. Of course, some animals are not as intelligent as humans. And some animals are as intelligent as some humans in some life stages of a human life. And you would know this if you research everything that's happening right now in the world. And there has come about a very big shift in consciousness that is being demanded by the collective. All of these movements are going on. This pandemic has really started some heavy stuff. George Floyd, I think? Sorry, that's so bad. George Floyd's death has been the breaking point of the Black Lives Matter. Like, people want their voices heard. And I think that it's incredibly unfair, and it does a disservice to us as a species if we don't start talking about the mistreatment of animals that goes on every day. Like, if your interest does not, include spirituality, then there is science out there that explains why the vegan lifestyle is a better choice on so many different levels. And you can go out there and look for it. But on a spiritual level, the vegan lifestyle, the vegan philosophy makes the most sense, because the souls that we are exploiting and slaughtering, they have reached their end, and they're more connected to us than we realize. Honestly, I truly feel like we won't be truly free until the animals are free. We're always kind of like enslaved by something. We're enslaved by the law. We're enslaved by our jobs. We feel enslaved by our emotions because of mental illness on the rise. And it's just like, there's a correlation that a lot of people miss between animal lives and human animal lives. Their suffering is our suffering. Our suffering is their suffering. Look at some of the atrocities that still happen to this day, and then, I don't know, educate yourself on what happens in factory farming. There are similarities with these forms of abuse, with these forms of exploitation. And it doesn't take a spiritual person to see the connection between these two things. And oftentimes people get offended. Human beings get offended. And they put up all these smoke screens instead of just looking at these two atrocities and seeing the parallels. They have an emotional reaction. Yeah, I think that's all that I have to say about this topic, about my spiritual awakening, my spiritual journey, and how my journey led me to veganism and will keep me on the vegan path. Like this video if you want me to talk about the yin and yang, the importance of the yin and yang, and why you should embrace both of those things. And leave me your comments, letting me know what you think. And hit the subscribe button, guys. It keeps me going. It lets me know that you guys are out there watching. I know that a lot of my viewers are not subscribed, so subscribe. I think I'll leave that somewhere around here or toward the end of the video. But yeah, I hope that you guys are having a good day or night. Bye.